Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. You guys know what time it is. Time for a client lesson update. And for those of you who like these type of videos, please remember to click like down below. Help keep the likes higher than the dislikes. It would be greatly appreciated. But let's discuss clients. One of the things that I've noticed and I've learned to give a little more leeway is that my clients who are training hard and recovering well, if they want to just throw in some smaller exercises, I let them do it. I don't care. Not a big deal. But if I have a client who isn't recovering well, they're not gaining weight, stuff like that, and they want to do that, and they're putting in half effort on some of their other stuff, I'm going to jump on them about that. But generally speaking, let's talk about the whole aesthetics thing. Obviously, most of my clients aren't coming to me for aesthetics per se. They all want to get strong. They all want to get jacked. Like all of my clients, I mean, if you're not trying to chase a big squat and a big deadlift, I don't know why you would hire me to begin with. Doesn't make any sense. But as far as the aesthetics aspect of it go, some of my clients do care about aesthetics. Some of them don't. Some of them are just like, dude, I just want to get jacked and strong. I have some of them who don't even care if they're fat. I get other guys who do care about their abs a lot. You know, you're going to get this mixed bag. But generally speaking, the thing is, any guy who's coming to you saying, look, I really care about the aesthetics, you better let them do stuff for their shoulders. Because that's really and truly what makes guys aesthetic. This is where knowing the body versus what kids and bros think is going to make them look a certain way, this is where it varies. What is it everyone obsesses over? What is it they obsess over? Their arms. That's not what makes you aesthetic. There are aesthetic bros, guys who you think of who are really aesthetic, who don't have biceps. People just haven't realized it yet. There are plenty of guys out there who have biceps much smaller than mine, who people think are amazingly aesthetic. Okay? They don't have biceps. Some of those guys have 13-inch arms. People just aren't noticing that. They're not realizing it. Why? Because of their shoulders. Delts and traps. Delts, traps, upper chest. That's usually what makes guys aesthetic. That's why trend works so well for making guys aesthetic, by the way. Because of the androgen receptor action of it and the androgen receptor density in those muscles relative to the rest of the body. Okay? One of the factors. One of the factors. But it's the whole shoulder girdle, especially the side delt, upper trap. Okay, that. Now, if you just have one and not the other, or particularly if the trap's too big relative to the delt, doesn't always work, does it? If you want to be biased in one direction, probably better to have more side delt than trap. But the perfect aesthetic is they're balanced, and they both tend to be big. Big even relative to your size. That's actually what makes these guys aesthetic. And I'd say in all honesty, guys who want that look, to be fair, within the context of your genetics, if you were going to overdevelop anything, it would be the side delt and then the upper trap. And actually all three heads of the delt, that whole region, and you get really lean. Okay? If you do that, you're probably going to have that look about as much as possible as your genetics will allow for. So what does this mean for clients? When your clients, guys, say, I just want to look better, I want to look more aesthetic, have them do a bunch of lateral raises. There's your simple fix. And it actually does matter. Because the first experiment I had to do with this with my current batch of clients, one of my guys, when he hired me back this summer, and he did a valid transformation, by the way. I'm not going to put any of his afters here, but I've shown them to other people, some of his stuff with his head cut off. The guy actually, he even admitted, he's like, I'm the strongest and best I've ever looked. Now, he's still in the 160s. He's not a big guy. But, you know, let's come over to the point. When you can bench more than 225, and you've lost a bunch of body fat, and you've put a bunch of muscle on your delts, you're going to probably look decent. Right? You're not going to look bodybuilder good. But to most people, they're going to be like, yeah, that guy looks pretty good. And he does look pretty good. I mean, if we were to break that person down at this point, he's done well. But he benches past 2 plates. Guy close grips past 2 plates now. But he's like 162, right? Like 162 pounds. But he came to me and said, look, I'm cutting a little bit. Yes, or he was actually, we were recomping him because he was a little fluffy at the time. We recomped him, and he's like, but in 10 weeks or whatever it was, I have Halloween coming up. I'm going to be shirtless. I just need my shoulders. I need everything to look good. What can we do? Because I had him on a power program, really. Powerlifting is what we did for him. Squat, bench, and deadlift oriented. But because of that, we did a bunch of laterals. We did a lot of overhead pressing, and he does a bunch of laterals. Now, a lot of you guys have said, but you said your guy Mike doesn't do laterals, because Mike doesn't need laterals. Okay? Mike, when he came out, everyone notices the delts. Mike did that with just high rep overhead pressing. That's just his genetics. Okay? That's his genetics. He can do that. Not everybody can do that. Eventually, I'm probably going to make him do a bunch of laterals too. We'll see what he does. But the guy did that, and it worked. 10 weeks of doing like 3 to 5 sets of laterals at the end of every upper body workout with a lot of overhead pressing. For someone who's not an advanced lifter yet, who's like a late novice, early intermediate type lifter, doing that for 10 weeks really, really hard made a very, very noticeable difference in his shoulder girdle. It just did. It gave him the round delts. It worked. Particularly when you're dealing with someone who's not real big yet. Right? For someone at my size range at 220, for me to do that, I'm going to have to add like an inch or more to my side delt for it to even be noticed and lose body fat. For someone who's not carrying the size of back and other stuff that I have next to it to overshadow it, it can be done really quick. And so you just let your guys do that. Same thing. So that's been my general strategy. When I have guys who come to me and say, well, I do care about aesthetics and I do want a little bit more of that look while still being strong, what's our fix? Is your fix to have them do a ton of curls? No. They can do some curls. Lots of my guys do curls. In fact, I have quite a few of my guys do curls with bands and stuff, right? And we do them just to help, again, protect their biceps. A lot of my guys do hammer curls. Again, improves their bench press. So I'm not saying don't do curls, but if you realistically want the most bang for your buck, and you have your clients and your lifters, or you guys out there who are like, well, I want to be strong, but I do want to have a certain look, run your normal power training, which is going to include hypertrophy work, right? Mine does, right? We're all doing sets of 10 on supplemental lifts, aren't we? Unless you're a novice who's running a 5x5. You're doing 10s on stuff, right? Yeah, of course you are. We're doing our volume training. Run all your normal volume training. Throw in side laterals every upper body workout. Just do lateral raises. Just do them. And do them about as many of them as you can handle. Do them to failure. Do them within your recoverable volume. Finish your workout with them. That's what I have my guys do. That's what I do now. Have my guys do that who care about the aesthetics. And if you do that on any really good strength program, you can do all the power training you want, all the training to get as strong and everything as you want. But if they do that, it will give them what they're looking for. Okay, that one little exercise. That's kind of really it. And I've seen other guys, I've even seen Nippard claim that. Right? Nippard has said the same. That's the one. He's like, that's the one thing I always do. Okay. It shows. It does show. Now, in addition, what else? Well, people got to get leaner, right? They have to get leaner. That's the other thing. I mean, ultimately, your lifters, even the guys who are chasing big numbers, which is probably going to be a good chunk of this channel. It's going to be a big chunk of my subscribers or my clients. All my clients are chasing big numbers. That's why they're coming to me. But a lot of laterals. Just train your side delts. Go ahead and just train your shoulders and watch your body fat. Get leaner. That's basically it. That's the only thing that you really need to do differently if you're going to be chasing strength. You want to get jacked and strong, but you come over and say, but I do want to look better. That will pretty much handle it. Again, within the context of your genetics, because that's the other thing. Aesthetics are very, very, very genetic. Okay, strength is not as genetic, believe it or not, as aesthetics. It's not even close. right? It really isn't. It's not as much as people think it is. Anybody can get really strong. Anybody can get really strong unless you have something physically preventing it. Okay, I'm talking about healthy people. I'm talking about people who maybe aren't blessed with great strength genetics, but they're healthy and uninjured. They can get brutally strong. It's going to take longer. Okay, it's going to take longer than the genetic freak, but they can still get brutally strong. Right? They can get a 500 squat if they're willing to spend enough time working at it. Not saying it's going to be easy. I'm not saying they're going to do it in 5 years. They can do it. Might be some blood, sweat, and tears involved, but they're capable. So the point we come over to with that is within the limits of your genetics, but usually that's the one thing you really want to add to a serious strength or power program for a lifter who says, yeah, but I want to look aesthetic. Lateral raises. Just go ahead and just train the side delt. Just train it. That'll solve it. That and get leaner. That's really all only other things they need to think about. They need to really think about body composition. They need to think about body fat, and they need to focus on those delts. And that's probably the best change you're going to make for that. And that's what I do with my clients. And so any of my clients who then come to me and, within reason say, I want to do the laterals or whatever. Okay, fine, throw some laterals in. I don't do it just the other day. It's like, Coach, I noticed you didn't have them on my program, but I did some laterals at the end of my max bench day. I'm like, yeah, that's fine, man. That's all good. It's not going to hurt you as long as you're recovering from it. Let's throw some laterals in. All right. Well, we want to watch those throwing in exercises that are going to interfere, create tendonitis. But ultimately, it works. It works. My guys, a lot of them do it. I let them do it. And I would say to a lot of you out there, new trainers, new coaches, just let your lifters do laterals. The ones who care about their look. Because quite frankly, out of any small exercise they're going to do, probably going to give them the most bang for their buck. It probably is towards that goal. They're generally easy to recover from if done correctly. And if they're paying attention to their shoulder health. If you have someone who has some issues with shoulder health they need to work on first, yeah, they need to work on that. But lateral raises, pretty simple. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.